get it going. I'm not a very big YouTuber, so
Yeah.
I just watch YouTube. So, let's see. So, is the recording going? Or?
Yep, I just started it.
All right, sounds good. So, what's up, guys? This is Josh Maynard here, and today I'm going to be interviewing and talking with Brian Greenstone. Say hi.
Hey, everybody.
All right. So, we're going to talk about the little game called Otto Matic and about Pangea Software, and we're going to try to find out a little more about the game and see what the haps is with the game. See how
Yeah.
you created it and everything, and how it was even brought up in the first place. So let's hope everything goes well with recording.
We'll
And
see how much I can
yeah,
remember from
yeah,
20 years
right,
ago.
right. I do want to talk about the game first, just so everybody knows what we're even dealing with here. But yes, this is the game called Otto Matic. And it's a game where you play as a robot character and you get to fight aliens, generic brain aliens, but they're great and they're well designed. And and you have to save humans while doing so. So
It was all based on 1950s cliche B-movie sci-fi.
that was my favorite part about that. Honestly, like it didn't even seem like it was just the 1950s, but you kind of spanned all over the place. So that's really cool. So one of my questions with that actually is did you get any inspiration from Mars Attacks or anything like that? As
Oh,
well.
yeah. I think we
Um,
took inspiration from just about everything. I mean, going all the way back to the original, it was a 1930s Flash Gordon series, the Buster Crabbe stuff, all the way up through
oh yeah.
yeah, Mars Attacks, and there was even some 80s references with Killer Clowns from Outer Space references in that game.
That's what I was wondering where the clowns came from. I'm like, why are the clowns in this game?
So there were, I think, 10 levels in the game. They were fairly large levels, most of them, so we didn't have that many. There were about 10 levels, but two of the levels I was never thrilled with, and one of them was that Killer Clowns from Outer Space level. It was never
Hmm.
fully realized, I think.
Yeah, I noticed there were some like programming problems and stuff like
Oh,
that. Like there was some humans that cannot be caught because if you get too close to the gate, you have to like go around with the car thing, and you can't get to the one human. Like it's just like
yeah, there were
yeah,
some glitchy things on that level. It never looked quite right to me, and it never played quite right. There were, I think, that level, and there was another level. I forget the name of the level, but it was basically the lava level, and
mm.
that one was by far the worst level of the game
Oh,
because
the ice lava one.
is it
Yeah,
ice? Yeah, maybe it was
yeah. I
ice
think
and lava.
you have both. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because
So.
those were done at the very end. Those were like we were running out of time because the one thing to remember about this game was that it was bundled on all the iMacs for
Oh
two
yeah. Yeah.
years, and the game was well, essentially we were doing all these games for Apple at the time, right? I mean, this went all the way back to 19 losing track of what year that would have been 1998 or 99 before the iMac came out, and we were bundled. We had our games bundled on the Performa machines prior to that, usually with through either Bungie, Mac Play, or whoever. But when the iMac came out and Apple wanted Nanosaur, that kind of changed the whole landscape for us. And that's when we started doing our own stuff. And
Right.
so, we were always on this timeline with Apple. It was when's the next iMac going to ship? And that's our deadline. We got to get our game finished to them. I think it was like 2 months before the machine would ship. We'd get them the final thing. So we always had these time deadlines, and Automatic fell into that again,
Mm.
where I want to say that was a 9-month project. I know Bugdom 2 was one of the longest ones. That one took about 10 months. But Automatic took about 9 months to do, and we didn't have any choice. It was like the
Oh,
game's
I
done.
thought it was
Done.
14 months, but yeah, I thought you would have had a little more time there. But yeah, I kept telling my friends it was like, yeah, it was 14 months. Like, I don't
Those
know.
last couple of levels just didn't get as finished out as we wanted. You look at the levels that we did at the beginning, and they're so detailed and they're so well thought out, and they're just so good. And then there's a couple that you just scratch your head and like, man, what happened here?
Why is this here? Like,
Why is the level
what's
so
its
empty?
purpose? Like, there's literally like some enemies running around that like they have like literal hammers on them. I'm like, how did they even know what a hammer design from Earth looks like? Like,
Killbots. Yeah, well, there was a whole level. Oh god, I wish I could remember what level is what. They all run together for me now. But there was we called it the killbot area of that particular level, where we had designed all these killbots, and we were so proud of them because they were so cool. And but
talking about Planet Nar, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah. We had a drill bot, we had the hammer bot, we had
Oh yeah.
a mace bot, I think, with the swinging things spinning.
Oh yeah, okay.
And we those were some of our favorite enemies in that game,
Yeah.
and they were only used in one specific spot. You know, it was that one area where the killbots were,
Right.
and there were like little rooms in that area, and there was just, you know, a group of hammer bots in one room, a group of drill bots and what, you know, and you barely saw them. I mean, you could go right through it and you were out of there in 15 seconds if you knew what you were doing. And it took weeks to do all those.
Yeah, it always seems to be the case. Like, you know, it's like there's plenty of missions on like Halo that you can just completely skip over, and it's like, dude, we worked really hard on this level just for you to not skip. Like,
yeah. I mean, Otto Matic had we put more heart and soul into doing that game than any game I've ever worked on any platform. I mean, that was the game. And if we'd had another, maybe just 2 more months to work on it, we could have gotten, I think, all the levels
everything out, made it more polished. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I was wondering if you were ever considering on like making a remake or anything like that. You know,
I've had a lot of requests for it. The problem was that the game, even though I personally think it's the best game we ever did. It's my favorite game. Like I say, it's the one that we put the most heart and soul into it.
Absolutely.
But it did not do that well financially.
Yeah.
And not because it was a bad game, but because it was bundled on
every Mac
for 2 years. Everybody got the game for free, right? Yeah. And granted, Apple, you know, obviously paid us a few pennies for each copy that they had bundled.
Sounds like
the retail version. The retail version was actually published by Aspire. So we were friends with the Aspire guys. This was back when Aspire was a tiny company. There were probably 10 people over there. You know, now there's a couple hundred. And you know, we just wanted to work with them. We were already publishing our own stuff at that point. We'd been publishing for years with Bugdom, Chromag Rally, and all those other ones. But we just wanted to work with them. So we said, hey, how about this? Let us work with Apple on bundling. You guys deal with the publishing, and we'll go with it. And they just couldn't sell any because everybody had the game for free. And so it was a bit of a commercial flop in that sense, even though we made a ton of money, but it was all off of Apple bundles. So we never did a sequel to it or another spinoff, just because the other games, Nanosaur, Bugdom, and some of the other one-off stuff, we're doing just a whole lot better. So we figured, well, we might as well just do Bugdom. I can't remember. Wait, Bugdom 2 came before Otto Matic. Yeah, it was Bugdom 2. So we'd consider doing Bugdom 3 at that point.
Yeah.
And I even wanted to do another Chromag Rally spin.
I was hoping there was going to be an Otto Matic sequel, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
You even said the end at the end, and it's like question mark.
Yeah. There were, I mean, that game. So what we did when we were researching that game was I went out, and this is when DVDs were still kind of a new thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I went out and I tried to find DVDs of every single B movie I could lay my hands. I mean, I searched everywhere. So I had a stack of everything from the old Buck Rogers stuff, or not, but Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, I guess. All the way up to the modern stuff. And I just went through every one. And we would just take notes. What's a cool element in this movie that
what's the best thing we can take from this?
Yeah, what's the best thing? And so we spent so much time working on that and trying to make all those themes of all of those old B sci-fi movies just fit into this thing somehow. And there was so much more we could have done. It was just an endless library of material to work from.
And whatever you took from Mars Attacks, it was like clearly satire. It's like so that brings me to my next question. What gave you the pitch for this game in the first place? What, like, did you come up with the idea? Did someone else on the team come up with the idea? Like,
I was trying to think that earlier today. I was wondering, where did that come from? So the guy that I did a lot of these games with, a guy named Duncan Nar. He lives in California.
Oh, yeah.
I met him when we both worked at Mindscape.
I believe he's a programmer, I think.
Yeah, he's the artist. He worked on a bunch of PlayStation stuff and Nintendo stuff that we did back from Mindscape.
It's actually one of the planets that you named after.
Yeah, so each planet is named after somebody that was somehow involved. So
okay, that's what I was wondering. Like, where did the name?
Planet Shabanik was named after a guy named Mike Shabanik who worked at Apple. He was just one of the guys that we worked with over there on this. Oh God, what were the other planet names?
Okay, well, Snoff. You got Snoff for the second planet. Where in the world did?
No, I wasn't named after anyone. I don't know what that was.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, so you the pitch of the game, like you still don't know like where it came from, right?
I mean, I've always been a big fan of those old B movies, so I'm sure that it was probably my initial idea, and then Duncan and I, kind of fleshed it all out by watching all these old movies, and we had. I think somewhere on the bookshelf back there. I mean, I had like, is it still back there? There's like a B-movie posters book. There's a book.
Oh yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's like a series of books of just B-movie posters, and so we went and bought that. I'm pretty sure it's one of those back there.
Oh yeah.
And just so much reference material, and it just kind of grew from there. It was just, I think it just started with an idea of, what's the main character going to be? And who are the bad guys? Obviously, the bad guys had to be brain aliens, because why wouldn't they be?
Like I said, they'd still look a little eerily similar to the Mars Attacks aliens.
Mars Attacks, this island, Earth.
Oh yeah,
you name it. There are probably a million brain aliens.
Yeah, anything but yeah. So what was your like general overall experience with the game itself? Like, how much did you enjoy it and why? And like what parts did you enjoy way more than others?
Yeah. Well, I love the whole thing because like I said before, with the kill bots and everything else, even on level 1, the first level of the game, there are things that took forever to do that just are short little things, like there are these corn. Was that level 1 or level 2? I can't.
Corn is the first level.
It's
second level is with all the blobs and the crystals.
Yeah, that's right. So the first level had the corn aliens, which you shoot them and popcorn comes out of them, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just stuff like that.
It was awesome. Who got the idea to make a sentient tractor?
Tractor. We had the onions that came. That was supposed to be a take on Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, right?
Yeah,
The whole vegetable thing. We had the tomatoes that you shoot them and they blow up into slices. The corn turned into popcorn. The onion guys kind of swatted you with.
And they pick you up and they throw you.
It was all one-off things. It was just so much fun to come up with all this stuff. And
like I said, who came up with the idea for the sentient tractor? Because it was really interesting.
I don't know. I just know that Duncan did a really good job designing that tractor. I always liked that tractor, and making that tractor, putting the AI into it so that it worked properly, was one of the bigger challenges of that game.
It's a little bit glitchy, but
because the tractor has to follow you down, but it has to obey tractor rules, right? It can't just do what it wants. And then it has to know when to charge, when to accelerate and try to smash you. And then it had to deal with all the collision detection of getting itself out of areas. And then you had to deal with the fact you're trying to make the tractor smash through the gate, right? So it
was always the part that scared me as a kid. I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm scared. This thing's chasing me, and I keep dying and dying. And I never got past it as like a kid. And finally, in the 4th grade, I was able to do a couple missions. Okay, but like now as an adult, I'm just like, okay.
It was a rough game. I don't. It's another case of, because we were kind of rushed, we didn't have enough time to really massage the difficulty level of the thing, because we were playing it. To us, it was easy. We were playing every single game 100 times, or every level 100 times a day, as we were working on it. And it wasn't until the game was done and I hadn't played it for a while and I picked it up again, and I'm like, oh man, this was kind of challenging.
Yeah, this is really hard.
Parts of it were tough. Even just like that tractor part. I mean, man, making that tractor, getting it to smash the gate for you.
Yeah.
That was not as easy as I thought.
Really hard. boring. Yeah, no, and that's the thing. You got like all these like little kids at school playing it, like kids like me, that just enjoyed the game and just couldn't figure out nothing. So most of the time I would just sit there like watching my friends play it so that I could get a feel for it, because they were so much better than me at video games. It was like one of my first video games that I ever played. It got me into gaming, so that was really cool. So I thank you for that. I probably wouldn't have gotten that much into video games. I had like a Game Boy Advance and a Game Boy Color, but that was it. But I didn't do much with those because I was terrible at video games. I still am.
That game, I had such high hopes for that when it came out because, like I say, it meant so much to us because of just the amount of detail. There's probably 2 to 3 times more stuff in Otto Matic as there is in like Bugdom 2.
Oh, yeah.
Bugdom 1. I mean, it's just so dense, and every level. When I play that game more so than any other game that I play.
Right.
When I look at that, I'm like, how did 2 people pull that off in 9 months? There's so much stuff.
There's just so much stuff in there. Like, now, did the artist do like the 3D rendering and stuff like that, or was someone else involved with that?
So, I'm trying to think. So, basically, the process would work like this. I would do some temp art. I mean, I know how to use. What did we use on that? We either used Lightwave or Maya. That was probably a Maya game. I think we used Maya to do that. And so I knew how to use Maya. So I would do like really rough temp art, get it in there, get the mechanics working of whatever. Well, like the onion. I probably built a sphere with a thing sticking out of it just to make the onion work, right?
Yeah.
And then Duncan would redo it. And so, and he did all the 3D modeling and the 3D texturing. The levels, so he did all the modeling for the objects that are in the levels.
Okay, so like the crystals falling in the second level.
Anything you see that's solid, even the fences, the gates and the fences.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that contains the level, he did. The terrain, I'm pretty sure he did. I'm trying to remember how that worked with the terrain. He did most of it. But what would happen was he would do, it was all, God, how did the terrain work on that thing? It has been so long. I know that I built the levels because I wrote the level editor, and it was a little kludgy because I wrote it, so it was best if I just dealt with it and let Duncan spend his time making art. So I designed the levels, and I believe then what he would do was I would give him a rough layout of the level in the editor, and then he'd use that as an overlay in Photoshop, and then he would do the first pass of the terrain. But then I would have to go back into the level editor and Photoshop it, a combination of level editor and Photoshop, and add all the shadows in.
That must have been back when they had CS2, I think, for Photoshop. So I don't even think CS5 even was thought of.
It wasn't even called CS.
No.
It was whatever it was at that point. But I would have to go in and massage everything. I'd have to add the shadows, and I would have to tweak a lot of things because back then we didn't have the technology to do real-time shadows.
Yeah, there was no lighting.
Some of the moving objects had little shadow sprites on the ground, but big objects, or even just fences, the fences needed shadows at the base, right? So I would have to go in with the airbrush tool in Photoshop, trace a shadow the whole way. When you look at these things in the editor and you zoom all the way out on the level, it looks so kludgy. It looks like something like me. But when you zoom in on the game, you can't tell how kludgy it is because you're in there.
That was the brilliance of Halo 1. I think they really got no other game did this at the time, and I think this is why Halo 1 looks so good, even to this day. It's unlike any other game, really. And they would use bump mapping. Real-time bump mapping. So when you would shine any form of light that would shine on an object, you could see fake bumps.
Yeah.
But it's all part of the lighting. Those bumps aren't real. They're fake. But especially when you shine a flashlight, you take your gun and you shine a flashlight on it, you can really see it. It's just so cool. But
And back then we had to use a lot of little cheats to get that kind of stuff to work. Because we didn't do any of the bump mapping. Did we do any of that? No, I don't think we did. But what we did do was a lot of reflection mapping. which was a total hack back in the day. But there was a hack to do it, and you had to create a sphere map. Basically just a chrome ball of your environment. And there was a nice efficient way to do that in OpenGL. Well, actually, I shouldn't say in OpenGL. OpenGL has no method for doing chrome mapping, but there's a way to fake it in OpenGL.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So, like the robot, Otto Matic, he's got metal parts, and there is a subtle chrome map on him. So he does have some reflection. And we tried, since it was almost free, the method we were doing to do it was almost free. We were able to chrome map quite a bit of stuff. So occasionally you'll see things that have just a subtle shine on them. It just adds a little bit
even if it's not chrome,
just something to make it look not like a game from 1997 or something,
Yeah. Do you know what was the inspiration for some of the other planets that you guys got, or was that just all part of the artists and stuff like that? Besides the clown one.
Hang on, wait. See, this is where I gotta get my phone out and
look.
Oh yeah. Because the beauty of have it on here. Not that I ever play it, but it's here in case anywhere. Oh, I thought it was on here. Otto Matic. Do I not have Otto Matic on here?
Uh-oh.
It's bizarre.
Does that cheat still work for like the F10 or F9 cheat where you can skip levels?
Maybe. It should.
Maybe.
There were a lot of cheats. I think there's also a cheat where you hold on BRI. I don't know what that does, but it was like a really major cheat. I think it gives you like infinite health, infinite
That
weapons.
would be awesome. I'd love to just play the game and just learn how to
that's weird hang on, I've got my iPad here. Let me see if it's on the iPad.
If there was a cheat to fly around the map the whole time and just see all the details.
Yeah, it's on the iPad. Oh crap! It crashed on the iPad. Oh, it's crashing on that. It's a really old. It's like wow, I can't believe I don't have. Somehow it got uninstalled. Well, I'm gonna have to go to the App Store and reinstall my game.
Yeah.
Wonder if it's gonna make me pay for it.
Well, you figured out how to give me the game for free, so yeah.
Oh, good. No, it's not gonna make me have to. All right, while that's downloading and look, it's playing the little preview thing. All right.
Apparently, when you ported the game over, it's
game. Okay, yeah. There's the farm. Oh, the jungle level. So there's two. There's a jungle level and a jungle boss.
Yep.
The jungle levels, when we were making the game, were probably our favorite levels, just because of the aesthetics. We thought they looked so cool.
Everything did look really good. Yeah.
Yeah, and the jungle boss level. It's my favorite boss monster of any game I've done, because what we had was a giant pitcher plant with these tentacles that came out and tried to get you. Yeah. And I was so proud of the code that could just on the fly generate tentacles. Those
you would
pre-made models. These were all algorithmically generated in the code, and yet they're texture mapped correctly, and they do the full tentacle thing. I was so proud of that. And I thought it looked so cool, especially for a game back in 2006?
2001, yeah.
Or 2000. Well, this Otto would have been 2006.
No, because I was playing I think you guys released the game in 2001.
I remember. These games, I can't remember how old any of them are. But anyway, the pitcher plant itself too. I remember that whole level pushed the CPU and the GPU to its limits, and we had a really hard time getting into it because there was so much going on. Those tentacles were a high polygon count. The pitcher plant that was the boss in the middle was a high polygon count. Meanwhile, you've got these pitcher pods, I think 6 or 8 of them on the sides doing their thing, and then you've got all this stuff that the boss.
It's hard to believe the frame rate didn't crash on you or anything.
It got a little laggy, and we had to be really careful about finding the slowest machine that we wanted it to still work on and make sure it still worked. And our target was 15 frames per second minimum. Barely playable. Now you run it. If I run it on my MacBook Pro now,
computers can handle that now.
Yeah, we probably run 500 frames a second.
There's a lot of people that there's like modern streamers that go up to like 1200 per second, I think. I'm like, geez, like why would you even want that? Like,
well, you know, later on when the machines did get faster, we had a little bit of a problem because we relied on the game pretty much never running much faster than 60 frames per second on the hardware that existed at the time. And when you're basing your physics and your math on a 60 frame per second frame rate, that's fine. But when you start getting up into the 150, 200 frames per second, all of a sudden the delta per frame is very small. Your character per frame and all the ammo, anything that moves is moving a very, very small distance. And because we were using single precision floating point for everything, we started losing accuracy because these numbers were getting very, very small. And so all of a sudden you could walk through fences, you could walk through walls. Because the math failed. The math simply failed at these tiny numbers. So we had to go in and just fix the code later on. And
I was gonna say it definitely feels like the character like kind of feels ping pongy a little bit. Like if I touch an object, I'll go flying. Like Yeah. So I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Oh, it definitely does because he didn't ping pong in the original version, running at 20 to 30 frames per second.
It's like Destiny, the game, is like really bad about that. Like I'll ping pong off of anything, and it's just dude, this doesn't help when I'm trying to do like a jumping puzzle or something like that. I'm just gonna fly off of it. Doesn't matter.
It's not just automatic. Bugdom 2 suffers from the same thing. When I play Bugdom 2 now, boy, that little critter, every time he bumps into something, it's bing, bing. He bounces a lot because the math is just so much cleaner. I mean, it's just the frame rate really preserves a lot of the physics.
I guess you could say it's really buggy.
It's buggy.
Sorry, I like my dad puns up there. So where did you guys get the inspiration from the little robot? Like, why make the player a robot instead of like a human or something like that?
I don't know. I think we were thinking of Day the Earth Stood Still. I think we were originally going after like a Gort type, bad guy. But Gort was such a plain looking thing. We had to embellish him. So I think we went with Metropolis, more of a Metropolis kind of look, give it a little more of that. So, Futurama was heavily influenced by two things, Metropolis and, oh God, geez,
I think it was The Day the Earth Stood Still.
or
it's like a 1930s movie or something like that.
Yeah, it's a silent film. What the hell was it called? It's Things to Come. Jeez. Over there, do I have a copy of it? Nope. Anyway, it's available on either Amazon or Netflix because I've seen it recently. They colorized it, which is a real tragedy. Right. But you look at this old movie, I think it's called what is the name of it? What Things May Come, Things to Come. Anyway, it's the basis of all sci-fi to come after it.
Right.
So it looks like Futurama. It's exactly what Futurama is based on. And it's also apparently what the original Star Trek uniforms were based on as well.
Wow.
I read that's it's not a direct ripoff because in that old movie they had those weird things on their shoulders that Futurama had.
Like they had like the spiky look.
But that movie, you look at it, and that movie was 1921 or something like that. I mean, it was an old film. Mm-hmm. It will blow you away because it's so good and the special effects are so incredible for the time.
Especially for the time.
Oh yeah, it's so forward thinking, and so there was so much in that movie to reference because, like I say, everything. Buck Rogers and the other one, the Buster Crab one, which one was Buck Rogers? Jeez, they all flow together. Flash Gordon, that was Buster Keaton, right? Anyway, not Buster Keaton, the other guy, Buster Crab. Oh my God, too many names. But anyway, they're all heavily based on that Things to Come, whatever the movie's called. I gotta Google it. Hang on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't remember the name of the movie. Things to Come movie. I don't know. Oh great. Now I have no internet all of a sudden on my phone.
Oh great. Oh no. Wonder if it's because of the call or something.
Yeah. Oh, there was a remake of it too, by the way. I think in the 70s. It was terrible. Here we go. Yeah, here's the movie. Yeah, it's Things to Come.
So it was
Okay,
things. Oh yeah, yeah.
things to come, and
Yeah.
I mean, you got to see this movie. Like I say, it's a
Oh no,
silent
I
movie,
would assume it's awesome.
and oh yeah, here we go. Like I don't know, you can't really see too well in here, but yeah, it's all blurry. But anyway, they're all wearing. It's Futurama. This is
Oh, I
basically
can see it.
1920s version of Futurama, and just it's great, and it's heavily would influence this game. But like I say, there's got to be 40 games that influenced this game, and
Movies, but
it,
yeah, yeah.
endless supply of material.
Oh no, that would have been awesome to like have so much inspiration like just coming at you like all at once. It's just like that's awesome. So let's see. Let's see. I do got quite a few more questions, but let's see. Um. Let's see. I'm trying to find like a good one to transition to. How did like okay? Would there be a story for why the humans are on the other planets in the first place? It's such like a weird and bizarre
That was a
like
weak point in the plot.
like
Okay, so here's a little thing.
right?
At the time that this game was made, and at the time I think around Bugdom 2 was made, is when people started caring more and more about backstory on games.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly, games had to have stories. Now, to me, a game is a game. It's entertainment. I don't want to watch stupid friggin', cut scenes and all the pre-animated garbage that tells a story. I don't
Right.
care. I just want to play the
Just want
game,
to
right?
play a game, yeah.
And so, but
You're
people
definitely
started,
old school for sure. Yeah.
they started coming down on us a little bit on some of the games we were doing around this time, saying, "Hey, what's the story?" And I'm like, "Why do you care?
Why is
Who
there?
cares what the story is? Just play it. The story is you're making the story by playing it. It's whatever happens." So people wanted to know. Yeah, I actually had people try to uh, ask me why all these humans and why the aliens were abducting them. I'm like, why do you think they were abducting them? Have you never watched a sci-fi movie in your
Oh
life?
yeah, yeah.
I mean, come on, do I have to explain it in the game?
Well, my thing is like when I look at it, because I've seen the game over thing screen, they're actually turning humans into the brain aliens. But
at the end of the
what
game,
I wonder is why are they on the other planets if they were already abducted? Like,
I know
wouldn't they
it
have
makes no
been
sense.
the brain aliens already by then? Like, yeah, I kind of,
It's suspension of disbelief, and it's what Alfred Hitchcock would call a MacGuffin. It's
Oh
just a
yeah.
plot point to make it work.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Like, I just like for me, like for some reason like my games with a little more story consistency. I don't know why. That's something that I enjoy more. I enjoy linear gameplay, and I think that's why I liked Automatic so much why I like Halo and stuff like that so much is because it's got this linear set point. And I don't have to guess where I have to go every 5 seconds and spend hours on the game just wondering what they even do.
Well, you know what my favorite all-time game is?
Oh,
Super Bomberman for the NES.
Oh,
Super Bomberman for the NES. When you get the multi-tap, had the multi-tap where you could play 4 people at the same time. Best game ever. Matter of fact, that was the game when I worked at Mindscape. After hours, sometimes during lunch, everybody would just gather in our little part of the office, and we would just sit there for hours and have Super Bomberman tournaments. And this went on for years. We would go to people's homes on weekends, just hanging out with them, and we just have our Super Bomber. That was the greatest game. I think I still have a copy.
That's what I miss about like older gaming, man. Like I would always go to my friend's house and play Halo with them and stuff like that. And it's just like, man, I miss those days so much. Like like not many of my friends like in IRL like have like Xboxes and stuff like that, and I just don't get to go to people's houses that often anymore. So it's just like I'm kind of pressed for time when it comes to work and stuff like that. So but yeah, man, like I had like Turok 2. I don't know if you know what Turok 2 is, but it came out on the 64.
I know Turok 1. I don't remember the sequel though.
Turok 2 had a really influential escape on first-person shooters, but it has a kind of a similar thing to Automatic, where you're wondering like, why are these other people on this planet and stuff like that, like, you know. But it's just like, once again, you just play the game and you're saving humans again, like, you know. But I think that's what's so fun about it is we like to see when humans are the underdogs so that we can win the fight ourselves. So
Yeah.
I think that puts the player. One thing I really love about Automatic, again, that puts the player in the best situation you can put them in. They want to win, and they want to get those high scores and stuff like that, and try to collect everything. So which once again, like that just makes it great. So I do want to talk about the music. I feel like the music is the glue to every video game. You cannot have a good video game without music.
Yes.
And even if the game is absolute dog crap, even if it is, if it has some of the best music, chances are you're going to keep playing it. So,
I have always said that music is actually more important than the art, because the music is what brings out the emotion of the game, and it's kind of what gets your heart pumping. The visuals are one thing, but I mean, a game with crappy music, it feels dead.
Work. Yeah.
It feels lifeless. Yeah. So we
the modern
up until the iPhone, we had always just hired somebody to do custom music for all of our games, all the way back to the early 90s, if not late 80s, probably. I mean, actually, it does go back to the 80s. And there were several, the first musician we worked with way back was a guy named Gene Coe. He was a genius for doing what he was doing with the technology he had at the time. And this was back Apple II GS stuff and some of the early, did he work on, I can't remember which Mac games he may or may not have worked on back in the day. But anyway, then we used a guy named Mike Beckett in Canada, who worked on, he worked on the first Nanosaur, the first Bugdom, Enigmo, and I'm probably forgetting something else. Did I say Cro-Mag Rally? But anyway, so he worked on those. And why does my watch keeps beeping and I don't know how to make it mute because it's not cooperating? Come on.
It's not doing what you
want. Sometimes the iWatch just refuses to cooperate. There we go. And then the last guy that we were working with for quite a bit is a guy named Alexander Dmitrijevic.
Oh yeah, this is my guy.
Yeah, he's my guy too. Yeah, he's fantastic. He is in Norway. I believe he's actually from Kosovo or something, but he lives in Norway.
Awesome. Yeah.
And he just blew my mind with what he could do.
Yeah,
we told him what we
such
were doing.
Memorable music, like
I mean, Automatic. You give him a theme, and it was just incredible what he could do. So with Automatic, we told him, 1950s, sci-fi, B-movie, whatever. And the music that he came up with, it was just perfect. He used a lot of theremin, with the theremins that.
Oh, dude, yes. So it's the reason that I got back into Automatic just recently again was because of the theremin. I was so interesting about it. Like, I was like, dude, like, what is the instrument they use for the alien stuff? Like, and I looked it up and I'm like, oh, that is so cool that you don't even have to touch the darn thing. Like, you just like, it's just subtle touches. Yeah.
Did you see that last Bill and Ted movie that came out last year?
No, I want to.
There's a theremin in there.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think it's the opening scene, actually.
Yeah. Bill and Ted 1 and 2 is like one of my favorite movies. Like, it's
Yeah. But this Alexander, I mean, my God, when the game that I think he did the best with was actually Billy Frontier.
Okay.
We were doing spaghetti western theme game right at this point, and so we told him, we want spaghetti western, Ennio Morricone style music. Give me that. And the stuff he did is so good.
I gotta listen to that soundtrack sometime.
Oh my God, awesome. It's the best music of any of our games by far, because it is so close and it's so reminiscent of all of that Sergio Leone themed spaghetti western stuff, and he nailed it. And I don't know how he nailed it. He's from Norway.
It's like they have nothing out there.
But he just did an unbelievable job with it, and so I love that. But Automatic was definitely my second favorite of the music that he did, because the music is just perfect. And for one guy putting all this stuff together and making it sound like, in a lot of cases, it sounds like a full orchestra.
That's what I want. Okay, so that's another question that I actually had for you. How did he do that? Does he know how to play a lot of instruments, or because so the thing is I know he used like some synthesized piano in there, but the actual instruments sound real. They don't sound synthesized. So
there's some real strings. I don't know what he did with the theremin. I don't think he bought a theremin. I'm pretty sure that was synthesized.
Wow, that's actually really impressive, because you can't make those like subtle touches on a computer.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Wheel on a keyboard to.
Oh, that explains it. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, I know. I mean, he definitely could play several instruments.
Like any of the trumpets, like whatever was in there, it all sounded real. Like it did not sound synthesized at all. Like and you can tell, like you can really tell, like when an instrument is like like computerized versus like they're just subtle touches that you can't hear anywhere else. So, but like that was another thing. So like how much did you work with him on the soundtrack? Like because like I'm wondering, like like how did he get any ideas? Like I mean, like obviously you told me that he got from the 1950s stuff. Like but like did you hear any themes in your head that you may have wanted to tell him, and like
he knew what to do. He just knew. I know that. So he was a PC guy. He didn't have a Mac. He wasn't able to play the earlier games that he worked on.
Yeah, I'm a PC guy too.
Yeah, I would have to. I don't know what I did, because we couldn't really send videos back then. They were way too big and crappy files. I'm not sure how. Maybe I just sent him screenshots. I'm not sure how I got the information about the game to him. But for Automatic, by the time Automatic came around, I told him, I said, and he was making a lot of money off of royalties, by the way. So I said, dude, you need to just buy a Mac, because you need to be able to play this game with the music in it to make, because it was getting ridiculous.
Yeah, because he wouldn't be able to,
So he had it, and really, he's one of those guys that I just kind of fully trusted to do what he would do. The only input I ever would give him on most of these games was, either, this needs better tempo, or this needs
to sound like this,
Yeah, sometimes he would do a song and it'd sound great, but it was a little too slow and it brought the action down. And just pick it up a little bit, and
I was gonna say, there's probably not like a single track I don't like about this game, like which brings me to my next question. Like, what is your favorite song from specifically Automatic? Like, do you have a favorite?
I don't know. Let's.
A lot of people, including me, really like the clown one. So
the clown one, yeah, I don't know if that one. Let me see. I'm trying to find the file.
A lot of people really like it, but it's not my all-time favorite, but I think it's very close. Honestly, Planet Earth is probably the best one.
Okay, here's the original music files. Let me see. Oh man, there's a lot of. Some of these are the early prototype songs. I'm not sure which ones of these were the ones that came out. Oops.
I wish I could have the prototypes. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Why in the world? This is one of those quirky things about the Mac. You click on MP3 and it decides, rather than just play it in QuickTime Player, I'm going to load it into iTunes for you forever.
Yeah.
No.
And you're stuck with it. Yeah, you can't even play it from YouTube or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, the theme song on the titles.
Oh yeah.
It was always good. But what's the? Oh, there were. That's a tough one. There were a lot of good ones. Okay, here's the Killer Clown.
If you want, you should do the clown one again sometime, like, or at least listen to it, because man, like that, it's so bombastic, and it's just like it's so out there.
That is good. Yeah, I remember that one now. Okay, I'm playing it there. Let me see. There's also the jungle theme. I remember was really good.
A lot of people like that one. Yeah.
Oh, the slime theme was always a weird one. They were all good. It's hard to pick a.
So for me, that the second level, which was the slime one, it's like it's like so back when because it made me think about this, like I was just a weird kid, and I could just hear anything when it came to music, and I'm not even a music major or anything like that. But Martin O'Donnell, when he was working on the Halo 3 ODST soundtrack, he thought of a phrase, "all alone," and it was like, okay, so I just like I need to like convey that somehow with the music, and he's like, "all alone," you know. And for some reason, whenever I think of the second planet here, when it came to the slime one, for some reason, like it feels like it's like okay, there are aliens on Earth, but like, are they really there? And then like when I heard the soundtrack for the second song, it was like something's really out there, and so like that's what I would think of, like. I would just think of that phrase. And I'm like, oh, something actually is really out there. Like, so I mean, like I said, I'm just a weird kid. It's just, but yeah, no, that was just something that I always thought of when like it would just like catch that phrase in my head. Like every time that song came up, I'm like, wow, it's like this, this game. Like I think that was when the game really started to like have an impact on me and stuff like that. So and of course the weird like magnetic turtle thing that you have to glide around. Oh my gosh, that was so hard.
That's right. There was like a sled or something.
Yeah, yeah, and that was the fifth planet, but the turtle one is on the second one. It is so hard to like, even as an adult. I'm like, I just played it the other day, and I'm like, dude, like, like, I can't die, I can't die.
Yeah, that jungle level with the turtles is so much harder now than it felt like it was when we were making it. Because, like I said, it's another case of we were playing that level 5 million times over and over and over, and it seemed easy. I could just blow through that level in 6 minutes. But now, boy, if I try to play it now, that is a rough level.
Oh yeah, but on the second level, like I said, there's that magnetic one, and it's just like, dude, you have to like perfectly like like position yourself to where and it's just like I couldn't even grab any of those atoms or anything like that. But yeah. So let's see. What would you say is your favorite level of the game, like specifically, if you have one?
Well,
it's probably been a while.
I love the killbots.
Yeah.
That area of that level.
Okay.
I wish I could just remember what level that even was in.
Do they have like a hunched over back, and like they kind of look like you a little bit, and like
They were. I've got my cheat screen up with all.
Oh yeah, of course.
And they're just the planet names, and I don't know which one was. Oh, the POW camp one. That was a whole mini game in itself.
Wow, that's a thing.
That's where you were flying the flying saucer.
Yes.
I mean, it was completely separate from the entire rest of the game.
I always thought it was weird that like you were flying in one of the alien ships. Like I was just like, oh,
yeah.
How'd you do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How did you do
that? Oh yeah. I'm remembering things I forgot were even in this thing.
Yeah. No.
Cloud thing.
You should honestly like go back and replay the game, like, because it's just like, I mean, you guys did an amazing job.
Yeah. I remember the ruins level. I always thought.
Yes, that's the one I was talking about. That's Planet Nard. That's the one.
That one's the Yoth City ruins, according to this. Planet. Let's see which one. Oh, geez. Planet Nar. Where is that?
Yeah, that's the one you were just playing. Yeah.
Did I rename them?
Maybe it's possible.
Because it's not on there. Yeah, I think I renamed it for the. I did rename it because you know what? It's missing. Wait a minute. If I go into that, what does it say?
I have to reprogram some things later.
Well, yeah. Oh, it's Planet Nar, the Yoth City ruins.
Yoth City. Okay.
That's what it was. Okay. Yeah. All right. You'd think I'd know these things, but it's been 20 years. But
like I said, the game came out in like 2001, so
it still is my favorite end screen.
Oh, I know. Like I said, the aliens are like, I'm like, no, what have I done wrong? Like they're all getting turned into the aliens.
Then which one was this? Planet Dennis. So Tuncer Dennis is the guy that runs Mac Game Store and Inside Mac Games. He was kind of big in the Mac journalism scene back in the day. And he's actually the guy that's responsible for Pangea kind of being what it is. So he worked at Bungie for a while. And when he was working at Bungie, that's when what was the deal? Oh, well, going back, he
Is that when you made that like really bad game with Bungie? Like,
like
yeah,
Weekend Warrior, aka
yeah, yeah, that's what it was.
worst game I ever did. But you know what? It was cutting edge, and hey, it was what it was.
I'm glad you guys got to work with Bungie because, like I said, like Halo is literally my like. I mean, obviously you didn't work on Halo or anything, but like Halo is like my favorite game of all time. Like it's like to me, it's just like a perfect
Yeah.
game.
Well, I was working with Bungie before Bungie was doing anything.
That's what I'm saying. That's like you knew Bungie before Bungie was
Oh,
like,
there were like eight
you know,
people over there at the time. Just a
yeah.
handful of guys. And there was a guy named Brent Pease. So Brent Pease worked at Apple. He worked on the original QuickDraw 3D technologies back in the day. And then Bungie hired him, and he did Oni, I
Oh,
believe.
okay. Oh, okay. So that was when they were working on Oni. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
I
Oni
was
was
like,
about
was that like in the Myth days, or was that like Myth 2, or like was
that
it
was at
you
the
know,
end of that. That was kind
Marathon?
of the
Like,
next thing. That was the next
yeah.
thing. But yeah, pretty much all they were doing when I was working with them was Myth, I believe. There may have been something else going on, but I don't. It was a small team at that point.
It's too bad you never got to work with Martin O'Donnell, man. Like that guy knows music in and out. Like you know, it's like I swear, like you know, Alexander, what was his name again for the automatic?
Dimitrijevic.
Yes, yes, yeah, but I feel like if those guys work together, that would just be awesome. Like you
Yeah,
know, like,
yeah.
like but so that brings me to another question. So, what happened to Pangea Software exactly? Like, are you guys developing anything at all anymore? Like, you know, like what's the
Unfortunately,
situation?
Pangea Software Inc. ceased to exist as of January 1st. So
Okay.
I realized, well, my accountant realized that it was costing me way too much to pay him to do the taxes for the corporation. We just
Oh,
weren't, company hasn't done anything new in 8 years.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I was retired. I mean, I pretty much retired out of this 6, 7 years ago at this point, probably six
Okay.
years, yeah, maybe 6 or 7. And basically all I've been doing was just maintaining the games, trying to keep them running and
Yep.
occasionally doing, updates with stuff and
Are
whatever.
you still allowed to work with anything like legally? I mean, like they are your games, I
Oh
assume.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
Pangea Software only exists as a DBA at this point. The
Okay.
corporation shut down on the first. But I'm
It's just an
still doing
ID
everything the
basically.
same way. I just released, Airwings update last week, and I don't know, last month I had to update. Oh God, it was either Nucleus or Warheads. It was Nucleus. Yeah, Nucleus needed an update. So I try to keep everything going.
Okay,
And
that's good. Yeah.
yeah, and we do have a guy. There's a guy who's been great named Ilias Jorio, who has managed, and I have no idea how, to update all of these old Mac games to run on OS 10, Windows, and
Yeah, dude, like I was wondering who did that because whoever did it thought of the gamepad and like the the Xbox controller, and I was like, dude, this is literally perfect. Like everything matches up just fine. Like I was like, dude, whoever did this, like
he did an
thank you.
amazing job. And I don't know how he did it because I mean I couldn't have done it. The
No.
code for say Chromag Rally, which I think is that's not even the oldest game he did. He updated the original Nanosaur, but Chromag Rally was not far after that. But the code for that game was written originally for Mac OS 9. It was originally, well, it's 32-bit. It used OpenGL, and I'm talking primitive OpenGL because it was originally written for QuickDraw 3D, but we had to update it
Wow.
for. So Bugdem, so the original Bugdem and the original Nanosaur were written for QuickDraw 3D. So how he converted those, I don't know. But any of them, these are big games with files that how you read them, I don't even know. I mean, some of those older games still used Mac OS 9 sound resource files. So he had to figure out how to get the sound effects out of those old RSRC files, and then I don't know whatever he did with them. But how he could get those games converted and then redo all the UI. because you had to redo all the dialogues and things, for settings and
Yeah, that must have been hard, especially with automatic, because I think you got like some weird Indiana Jones font thing on there, so, or at least that's what it looks like. I don't know, what is that font? Is that like just generic Indiana Jones adventure?
No, it's a font called, oh God, what is the name of that font? Action something. I forget the name of that font, but yeah, the automatic font. It's I can't remember. There was one of the games had a font that was modified. It started off as a public domain font that one of the artists tweaked for our uses, but no, the automatic was just I don't know, whatever the name of the font is. I think it was more. It always reminded me more of the Star Trek Next Generation type font a little bit. It had a little mix of those elements in it. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Indiana Jones / Star Trek TNG kind of thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it just looks like that. Is there a reason that this was your favorite game to work on? Obviously we've talked about all the inspiration and everything, but but yeah, feel free to talk about it.
It was just all the little stuff. Like I said before, no other game I've worked on had that much stuff in it that we would spend days working on for something you see for a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a one-time deal. Remember that rocket sled that we were just talking about? There's a rocket sled in the game, and it's a hugely complicated thing to program, because the deal is you get in the rocket sled and it did stuff, and you had to somehow you activate it, and it went up and it shot up off a ramp, and it did crazy stuff.
One of the worst things about that is if you get out at just the wrong time, it shoves you off the edge, and I'm like,
yeah, that rocket sled, the game's loaded with that stuff. It just,
oh yeah,
no other game did I put that much effort into the details. It's all about the details. We love the music, we love just the whole design, we love just the fact it was an homage to these B movies, these B sci-fi movies. It was a game, because you look at a game like Cro-Mag Rally, and it doesn't mean anything. It's just a caveman racing game. There's nothing that means anything to me about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it kind of feels like the Cro-Mag Rally feels like I don't like Flintstones almost.
It's basically Flintstones.
Like a Joe and Mac kind of thing. And
Bugdom. Most people think Bugdom is the best game we ever did, and actually, it probably is. If I didn't love Automatic so much, I would just say that Bugdom 1 was the best game we ever did. But most people, 9 out of 10 people, would tell you Bugdom 1 was the best thing we ever did. But even that game, I don't feel like there's any of my soul in that game. It's just, it's a good game. It's a great game. But Automatic was the one that's the one I put my heart and soul into it.
Yeah, and like I said, it really shows, because, man, like I said, I didn't exactly grow up with the game, but we got to play it all the time in school and stuff like that. Especially on Fridays, we had days where we were allowed to play video games on the computer, and I couldn't beat it for the life of me at all. It was just so hard. But all my friends could, they've been gamers for years, and I'm just dude, you're in the 4th grade, what?
There are very few of my games that I can beat anymore, just because it's been so long. And like I say, when we make these games, working on them for the better part of a year, and I'm so sick of them when the games are finished that I usually don't play them again for years.
No, that's good though, because you can always go back and hey, what did I do wrong with this one? Can I work on this differently? It's the same with comics and any form of art, man. It's just you got to enjoy the actual process of making it, or else you're gonna get very bummed out. Like I said, it's one issue that I'm having working on some comics that I'm trying to work on. So but yeah, it's just I don't know, I'm trying to enjoy the process more, because you're not going to, it's not going to show very well if you don't. So
it's just one of those games, I look back on all of those earlier games. So funny story. So after we did let me make sure I got the timeline right. After we did Otto Matic, we were going to work on Billy Frontier. And we knew that Billy Frontier would never get bundled by Apple because it was too violent. And I was okay with that. I just wanted,
yeah, you just want to make a cool
doing
game.
These games for Apple for 10 years or longer at that point, and the thing about all these games for Apple is they had to be very G-rated, right?
Yeah.
No violent. They had to be cool.
Yeah, it had to have like cartoon violence, like Mario or something like that.
Wanted to do something gory.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
So Billy Frontier was that game. We were going to do the spaghetti western, and the artist there was a guy that I worked with on the earlier stuff, kind of before Duncan, named Scott Harper. I started working with him on Power Pete, aka Mighty Mike, way back in the day, and he also worked. I got him hired at Mindscape, and we worked for years. He did the original Nanosaur and Nanosaur 2, and then wait, did he do Otto? No, Duncan did Otto, but we were going to do this Billy Frontier game, and I don't know, we were butting heads on it. So we took a little break for 6 weeks. And during that 6 weeks is when I wrote Enigmo. And to me, Enigmo was the second worst game I ever did compared to Pillow. I was called Pillow Fighters. That was the working title, but Weekend Warrior. Not that there was anything wrong with Enigma. It was actually a really, really good game, but it was a simple puzzle game. That's not what I did. That's not the kind of games I used to do for the PlayStation. It's not the kind of games I did for the Mac. That's not the kind of games that I was doing for anything. I did adventure games. And so here's this little physics puzzle game with water droplets bouncing on that it took me 6 weeks to do the game. I considered that game kind of beneath me. It was like, Enigma.
I'm up here.
That's not me. I'm sorry.
Like we're down here.
Yeah, exactly. There's like adventure games way up here. And then
I am above this.
Yeah. So we took some time off on that to kind of figure out what we want to do. But anyway, once we resumed work on Billy Frontier, the game's bad. I'll be honest. It had good intentions, but we never really pulled all the Billy Frontier is a game that's like a bunch of separate games, right? There's a shooting gallery part. There's a stampede part. It's kind of a racing game where the alien bull creature things, these longhorn-looking alien things are chased. Anyway, it's got all these little separate things, but it never really came together. It was fun. There was a first-person shooter part. It was kind of an arcade shooter. All these little pieces never quite fell together for me, like a nice contiguous game like Bugdom or Automatic or Nanosaur 2 or any of those kinds of things. But Billy Frontier still had the best music. So it wins on that, and the art, the graphics were fantastic.
I really should listen to that soundtrack now, because that's like I said, I've never even played the game. I didn't even know you guys made it until I looked at your list of games.
Well, I'll tell you, so there's the part of the game that's the shootout, the duel. It's the duel, where all it is just it's depending on what level you're on. It's either you and one other alien guy, or you and 3 other alien guys, and you're in the rotunda thing, and and you just have to do these stupid little key matchy things to make sure you shoot first, right? It was a reflex game. It's not
something I would not be any good
at. That little bit is so good that I just like to watch it, because what it is, if you watch the last scene of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, you immediately know this is what it obviously is, because it's Clint Eastwood. It's Lee Van Cleef and Tuco, whatever the hell his name is.
Not to mention Back to the Future had that in there too.
Yeah, well they ripped it off too, but we really ripped it off because our character looked just like Clint Eastwood.
That's awesome.
And but anyway, we do the whole thing, and I watched that movie 100 times, and there's a shot that directors call the Leone. And it's when they zoom in to somebody's eyes like this, where you're like, that's called a Leone. And so we made sure to do that, because what Sergio Leone would always do is, he did these unusual cuts in the film where you kind of progressively get closer and closer and closer as the tension would build. Either zoom in on a hand, on a gun, or the eyes, or whatever. So we did the same thing.
So you have breath on
Billy Frontier is this the music is playing, It sounds just like Ennio Morricone soundtrack from The Good and Bad and the Ugly kind of thing. And
It's awesome.
And the camera just cuts closer and closer to the hand trembling, going for the gun thing. It switches between the characters, the closer on the eyes, and it just picks up the pace. And it's such a beautiful thing. It's so perfect. The music and the camera work and the graphics
Everything just kind of fits. Yeah.
And then when the actual shooting takes place, we go from real time to slow-mo. So all of a sudden the camera goes into, it does a slow motion like crane shot around, and you see the slow motion pulling the gun out, slow motion, everybody fires, boom, and the bullets in slow motion just go boom. And then we show in slow motion the impacts.
Oh,
it's perfect.
Did you have to do all that animation by like hand, like with keyboard and mouse? Oh man, yeah, just like Halo. Yeah,
that one was
must have been hard.
How did we do the animation on that? So each individual animation sequence was done in an animation tool, that an in-house animation.
I imagine you had like a bunch of wireframes going through like each.
Oh yeah, it was all boned out. It did but there was a lot of code that had to sequence all that, because they're all individual things, and since you don't know the outcome of the shootout.
Yeah, you don't know whether the frame rate's going to drop too much.
Randomly generated, in part, not. But man, I still can just load that level up. Don't even touch the keyboard, because I don't want to play it. I just want, and the iPhone version does the same thing. Let me see if I've even got that installed, because it's it's got to re-download.
Lovely.
It's just such a fantastically perfect shtick. Let me see here. Play new game, duel. I mean, yeah. See, so it starts off with, a very. It looks a lot like the ending, the graveyard.
Yeah, it really does look like
over the shoulder shots. I mean, it looks. This is exactly what a Sergio Leone movie looks like.
Yeah,
right, the close up, you start getting closer and closer. And all of this, camera work was done in code. It just was manually timed out. But all this was based on shots from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and we did what we could do. Oh, apparently I'm getting the three-way shot. I think it does it randomly.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool how that does that.
Yeah. I don't know how you get the audio on. I don't think I've got the, there.
I was going to say the game looks really good. Like,
it looked great,
especially for a game at that time. Like,
so I'm supposed to be pressing these little things to code, and if I can fill in all the dots before the music ends, it's kind of like musical chairs, then I'll win the shootout. But as you're about to see, I'm going to lose the shootout. I think they're all going to shoot me. So there goes the slow motion. Boom, blood.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it's just perfect. I mean, everything about that. So I could watch that all day long.
That is so cool. Yeah, no, it's. Like the subtle little hand twitches. Like games back then didn't even like they were like, salad tossing hands basically. Like you would never get like individual finger movement or anything like that.
We had a hard time keyframing that, because like I say, this was on an old Mac, low frame rate in this game like everything else, and trying to get that kind of a jitter at 15 frames per second doesn't
Oh
work.
Yeah, no.
So it looks a lot better on a modern piece of hardware.
I was gonna say it looked pretty good on the phone there. That was
when it was written, it was a little jumpy because the frame rate couldn't pick all that up. But later machines or faster machines at the time could do it. But yeah, I mean, that was so much effort went into that. I mean, that sequence there probably took a good 3 weeks of work to make happen. Just the manual coding and all the animation and just the music, and getting the whole thing to work. But yeah, that whole game was very Sergio Leone inspired.
Oh yeah. No, like I said, it looks awesome. But yeah, so well, those are unfortunately all the questions I had for you. I do kind of wish that Pangea was still going. I know you're probably retired now or something, and but man, like I would, I would have loved to work on a game with you guys. It would have been awesome, especially the sequel to Otto Matic. I don't even know where those rates would go to if if anyone were to make a sequel on that.
I tried to sell the company, when I realized that I was kind of done, and we didn't have any luck for two reasons. There were there were basically two types of people that wanted to buy Pangea. There were people who knew what they were doing that had money.
Yeah.
And then there were people who had money but no idea what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I wasn't about to sell the company to somebody who didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, you definitely wanted to.
There were multiple people that made me offers, but I knew that they would just run the company into the ground within a year because they
and that's the thing, like, you know, especially with modern games nowadays, like, dude, like Microsoft, there's anybody, like, they don't seem to really put their heart and soul into it anymore. It's just like all graphics and microtransactions, and, you know, it's like, dude, like, just quit it.
Yeah, well, it's very corporate driven now. You know, back in the when I was doing these things, when I was doing what's the word? Super Nintendo work. You know, back in 1991.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, a game cost maybe $130,000-$140,000 to make.
It wasn't,
you know, and it was not corporately controlled. The people that were running all the companies were creative people. They were people who were either former programmers or whatever. And the game designers didn't exist because artists and programmers did all the game design.
That's one thing I really enjoyed about you guys, is you guys were indie developers, and I'm just like, dude, like, if only we still had more of those, and we kind of do nowadays. In fact, I feel like indie developers are a lot more successful nowadays because of the corporate, like, you know, so. You know.
Well, the iPhone helped bring that back, right? I mean, this had gotten super corporate by 2006, where you know, the multi-million-dollar game budgets taking 100 people to make a game, which to me is absolutely absurd.
You know,
the iPhone comes out, and now anybody with a computer in their bedroom can make a multi-million-dollar game.
Like, you know, and just by themselves too. Like, you know, I'm seeing so many people make so much money off of just doing like one thing, and I'm like, dude, like, I wish I could do that.
It was a lot easier in 2000. Wait, what year did the App Store open? 07 or 08? I lost track.
I think it was. I'm not sure, like, because I don't think I ever had like an iMac or anything like that.
I'm pretty sure it was 08. I think it was July.
Yeah, 7th. That sounds about right. I feel like, you know, I remember my friends having phones on the buses by the time stuff like that came out.
Yeah.
So,
but for at least a couple of years after that, you know, you could still get away with it. But then the App Store got so crowded, and it became impossible to be seen. You know, it was really unfortunate because there were
kind of like YouTube nowadays too. It's like it's so crowded with videos that like nobody can get out there anymore, and they have to use algorithms to.
But the difference between the App Store and YouTube is at least YouTube has filters, right? You can search for things based on things. The App Store to this very day has no filters, and this was something that I complained to Apple about really early on. I said, "There's no drill down. You go to
need to get this
any other online store on the planet, and you can drill down, right? You drill down through categories. The App Store, it's just games, productivity, educational, whatever, right? The main categories. But when you get into games, there's no drill down. You know, what if I want? And there wasn't even a category. I don't know if there is now. I don't think there is, but there had never been a category for flight simulators. So, you know, we had.
That's interesting. So you would have to individually.
Dinosaur 2, and then we had Air Wings and Air Wings Intergalactic. They're all basically flying games.
Yeah.
Now, Dinosaur 2 we could call an adventure game, but Air Wings and Air Wings Intergalactic were just flying battle games, multiplayer flying battle games. We had no idea what to put them under, so we put them under action games or something. But there was no drill down, so somebody looking for a flying game had no way to do it other than keyword searches. But the keyword searches,
and they wouldn't know where to go.
They were never very good on the App Store. But there's. But even just for my own purposes, when I'm looking for a specific type of app, you know, say I go to Amazon and I'm looking for a specific type of, I don't know, hard drive, I can drill down. Do I want solid state, or do I want a spinny drive? Do I want, you know, 4 to 8 terabytes, or do I want, you know, 1632 terabytes?
Absolutely, yeah.
I can drill down, but you can't drill down at all on the App Store, and you never have been able to. And that was part of the demise, I think, of a lot of app developers, is that they never get seen because there's no way to be found. And that was kind of why I retired in the end, really, was that it was clear it was becoming a complete crapshoot. You know,
it just gets overwhelming.
We could work our asses off on a game and it might never be seen. If Apple decided they wanted to promote it, great. but it got to the point that even Apple promoting a game didn't matter because
It's probably good that Apple doesn't own the rights to Automatic or anything like that, because that would I cannot imagine how bad the game would be. Like just microtransactions everywhere, just like
I hate microtransactions.
I know.
I try to make most of our games, including Automatic, just pay the money up front and it's yours for life. But with
man, like
Air Wings, so here's the one thing about that payment scheme about the microtransactions is that for a large scale multiplayer game like Air Wings, it was critical that we had a large player base, right? We needed hundreds of thousands of people to download the game so that there'd be tons of people online at any given time to play against. And the only way to do that was to make the game free. If we made people pay, it would have gotten 10% of the downloads, and that wouldn't have been enough.
Yeah,
so we needed to
you have to do microtransactions, but I've always more agreed with look, I don't like microtransactions, but if you make everything cosmetic, it's always better in the long run. So
and I always gave them an option to just buy it. If you just want, here's the deal: you can either microtransact and buy each individual airplane and level and all this crap, and you'll end up paying
or you can just buy the whole game along.
Yeah, or just for $10. Here's the whole thing. It's yours forever. You'll never have to pay us again. Because I wanted to make sure people had that. But for those games, we had to reach critical mass, and we had to reach critical mass immediately upon the game's release so that there were people to play against. And luckily, Apple had promoted Air Wings, so we reached critical mass real quick.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so that game did great. That is the only game I play almost every day.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
I love Air Wings. It's not my favorite game. I mean, Automatic is, but it's to me it's the most replayable, survive the test of time game. It's simple. It's just flying multiplayer battle, shoot them until they're dead game.
Once again, that's something I love about Halo 1. While there is a story, there's just it's always replayable because you have this chess piece gameplay, and it's whatever weapon works for whatever point in time. So and that's something I've really enjoyed about video games, and it's just I love that. But yeah, like I said, do you have any posters or anything that I could buy from Automatic? Because I would I want 3D models or something, just anything.
What do I have? I have in front of me an Enigma poster. I have a poster from two of my Super Nintendo game, Super Nintendo game and PlayStation game, Apple IIgs game. In the closet, I have a large version of one of the Super Nintendo games.
Oh, that's so cool.
On the shelf, I have Firefall. I don't see. I got an Automatic box over there. Is that the only copy I have left?
That's gotta be. Well, it looks like it.
I know I cleared house a while ago of all the. I used to have 5 million copies of all these games. I was using up too much space. So I gave them away. I went on Facebook and said, "Anybody want any free stuff?"
Anybody want a free game? Here you go.
I'm sure in the closet I usually keep old marketing material, promotional stuff. So I'm sure since Aspire published Automatic, I'm sure they had some marketing stuff, and it's probably just packed in a box somewhere in the closet. And where I keep all the old. I've got stuff in there I hope is worth something someday.
Because I was hoping for statuettes of Automatic, because that would be so cool.
Well, I got before 3D printing was 3D printing back in 2001.
Yeah, you were
one of
telling
the guys
me
that worked on Chromag Rally at the company he worked at, they had a I think it's an FDM printer. That's what they call them now, I think. But if not FDM, it's a ST Center. This STL, whatever they're called, printer. But so he made this little
it's like a molding
Rally guy.
Yeah.
And he sent this to me, and I was blown away by the detail because the original model
really impressive.
Yeah, he really up-res this thing. And this is 2001 when that was not an easy thing to do.
No, I can't imagine it wouldn't be. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, the thing's sweet. There's all sorts of weird things I have collected over the years from, like even on my desk, Nanosaur 2 3D glasses.
Oh, that is sick. That is...
Because we did Nanosaur 2, Otto Matic, Bugdom 2, and I don't know if any others. We did do them in 3D.
Yeah.
There is an option on the Mac version on the original Mac version, to play the games in 3D. And if you put these things on,
Oh yeah, of course. They're just
actually,
like the old 3D glasses. Yeah, man.
and we made these things. It also worked with, oh God, there was a company that made actual stereo, like the shutter glasses things.
Yeah.
We had to pull their legs to send me a free test unit, because I told them, I said, listen, we're working with Apple. This game is bundled on all these machines and we're doing the 3D, and I said, this can't cost you more than $10 to make these. Just send me a copy so that I can support your device. But they just wanted nothing to do with video games. But they eventually, I think I had somebody at Apple bug them about it, and they finally sent me their shutter glasses. So the game worked with shutter glasses. It looked amazing with the shutter glasses.
Yeah, no, like they're the classic 3D glasses. I think nowadays they just have this lens now where you put them on and they're just regular glasses.
Yeah.
These
make you go blind too.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, those are, you can't wear them for hours upon end. You just can't do it, So,
yeah. The only reason that these are even on my desk is that there's a really cool website that the Mars reconnaissance satellite stuff, they're all in stereo, and you can actually look at the satellite images of Mars in stereo, and it's amazing. It's like you're there.
Oh, so, that is actually really cool.
Grab a pair of these and go to look for Mars stereo images or whatever, and it's like,
put those on. Heck yeah, man. Man, but yeah, like I said, if Pangea was still going, I would definitely want to work for you guys. Like that would be awesome. But clearly it's not. Would you ever give anybody an opportunity, especially if it wasn't an indie developer that actually cared about the game, to work on it, like a sequel or something like that?
I've had a lot of people ask about that, and the answer is yes. But so far, everybody who's approached me has not had a clue. I have actually signed contracts with people. I said, listen, I will give you 6 months to give me a proposal. Yeah. We signed the deal, and I never hear from them again. And then
that's so sad. No.
This has happened so many times, I can't even.
Me, I would do it if I could program a game, but I can't. So, I can just do the artwork, and I'm not good at the 3D stuff. So,
I had always wanted to do Bugdom 3. Bugdom was the #1 most requested. It's not true, actually. Power Pete, aka Mighty Mike, the game with 2 names.
I still feel like Otto Matic.
That's the #1 most requested game, but #2 is always a Bugdom 3. And we'd had an idea for Bugdom 3. We also had an idea for Nanosaur 3. Nanosaur 3 was going to be a underwater battle game, kind of like Echo the Dolphin type of deal, except
no,
related. We're going to have plesiosaurs.
Echo the Dolphin 2, they had that weird alien thing going on, that you saw at the end of the game. I'm just like, what is going on here? So it has nothing to do with the first game.
I know. So we were gonna try to do that, but Bugdom 3 was always a possibility. But the thing when we do sequels is we wanted to make sure that they weren't just phoning it in. We didn't want to just do an actual sequel. So, for example, Nanosaur 2 has nothing to do with Nanosaur. Well, that's not true. They're in the same universe. But Nanosaur 1, you were a dinosaur with a jetpack. Nanosaur 2, you're a pterodactyl with machine guns, right? So it's a completely different style of game. One's a run-around shooter, one's a flying battle game. Bugdom 1 and Bugdom 2, no connection at all, right? They're the same miniature bug world, but completely different characters and environments and enemies. There's no similarity between the games. Otto Matic 2, I think we were going to use the robot, but we were going to soup him up and do a little bit more with it. But we never got around to getting.
That's the thing. So I know you really liked my design, but do you feel like it was too much detail when I showed you, or what did you think of the design?
No, that looked good. That looked good. That's probably what it would have looked like had we had today's computing horsepower.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. I'm glad I could do that because, like I said, with Halo 1 Anniversary on the Master Chief specifically, I mean, like for the whole game they did this, but they added in way too much detail for the sake of detail, and I'm just like, dude, this looks nothing like the original guy. And like when I did, so I had to consider stuff when I was working on Automatic. When I worked on that, I was thinking about like, okay, what do robotic arms look like nowadays? Like, so I was just like looking up like all the sci-fi stuff and all that, and I was just like, okay, what can I do with this? Like, how can I make this look realistic, and malleable, And so
I think if we did him today, he'd be more like a transformer.
yeah, that would be
make him
really
morph
cool.
into things.
Yeah. When I did the gun, I was thinking about the Call of Duty ray gun. I don't know if you've seen that before, but they have it in the zombies mode, and I was just like, oh, this kind of looks like the automatic gun a little bit. So but yeah, so and of course I took inspiration. Like it had to look at least have a similar silhouette to the original, and that's that was where I really appreciated that. Like I said, and like I said, the Halo 1 Master Chief, they made like his fingers like really tiny, and it's just like his arms are like very short, and it's just like, dude, he looks nothing like the original guy, like at all, And so I there was a lot of things that I had to consider when I was doing that. So but yeah, so so that's another reason why I wanted to see what you think. I mean, it is your character, so I was just worried that like I was adding in too much detail. But
no,
really
over the years I've had people send me their modern versions of all sorts. I've had people send me modern versions of what they thought the caveman and the cavewoman and Chromac should look like, and boy, there have been some cool things. So there's we've had plenty of that, and even Nanosaur too. Nanosaur 1, we had signed a deal to have there was a guy that wanted to do a comic book for Nanosaur, and he ended up doing it, but it never got published, and so it's never been released. I've seen it, but it never got released. But then one of his artists, a guy named Rich Bonk, who is now actually a fairly well-known illustrator in the comic scene, we wanted him to work on Nanosaur 2. And so when Nanosaur 2, the whole intro story, and like I say, we don't do intro stories very often because I think they're a total waste, but he did all this. Whoops, it just went away, but hang on. Oh God. So, wait, how do you get to the intro? Where's the story?
I just saw it. Yeah, it was like.
Wait, maybe it comes in when you launch the game. Oh yes, it's when the game starts up. So this is from the comic work. This is Nanosaur 2. He was going to do a comic book based on Nanosaur 2, and it never really happened. But and I hit the power button.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, I got to see enough.
Because Apple, why did they put the volume button on? Am I the only person that hates this?
No. So like Android does the same thing too. Like I'm an Android Microsoft person. It's just like, dude, why would they put the volume button right next to the power button?
It used to be on top. There was no screwing it up. But now, you're out there, you're going to take a picture. You've actually
take a picture.
And you take your
moment's gone. Moment's gone.
It's infuriating because where does your thumb sit when you're about to do this? It sits right on the power button.
This is the problem with like corporate design, man. They just can't design anything like anymore.
There was nothing wrong with the power button on the top where it should have been. Not to mention when it's on the top and your phone's in your pocket, you want to silence it, you just poke your finger in your pocket. Mutes it. Now you got to fidget with it. Where's the damn volume button? Anyway, bad design. It was good when they started. So, but anyway, So, but he did a lot of this comic work that we decided to use in Nanosaur 2 because we really thought it was cool. It's just a shame that comic book. It was one of the earlier licensing contracts I ever did, and I forgot to put a time limit in it. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get the comic book rights back. I totally screwed it up. And the guy didn't want to give it back to us for reasons I don't know. So anyway, but there is a Nanosaur comic book out there that never got published.
That's I was gonna say because that could look like so cool, like and I'm pretty sure my brother would appreciate that because for him it wasn't automatic. In fact, he didn't even know what it was until I showed him. But yeah, he loved Nano Sword a lot. So especially two, I think that was the one he enjoyed the most. So like I said, they kept bringing these games out to our school, like, and it was just like so weird. Like, I was like, who made these games? Like, like, so and to see them bundled with that stuff, it was really interesting. So but yeah, so.
Yeah, the bundling was a great thing, and that's the main reason people even ever heard of Pangea was the fact that they all saw the games in school
Yeah.
loaded on their machine. There was when the original Bugdom came out, and this was before the Apple stores existed, and you kind of had to go into places like Circuit City and Best Buy in order to buy a Mac.
Yeah.
And Apple had set up these
Oh
little
man, Circuit City. Jeez,
Circuit
that is
City, yeah.
so old. Like I don't even know how I remember that. Like that's not even a thing anymore. Like
No, it's not. But they had these like kiosks where they would have an iMac set up and display the stuff. And what they used to use as their demo was always one of our games, right? They'd used in the early days on the first iMac they used Nanosaur, and then when Bugdom came out, they used Bugdom. And there was an article in the Sacramento Bee, and I lost my copy, and I'm so bummed. But the title of the article was the $2,000 video game.
I'm pretty sure it's on.
What the guy says
pretty
in
sure
there,
it's on the news somewhere. Or something.
yeah, what the guy says, he says he walked into Circuit City and his little kid saw Bugdom running on the demo machine, and his kid had to have Bugdom, so he had to buy the iMac. So that's why it's the $2,000 video game. But it was a great little story, and I think it was one of that story was a good motivator for Apple to have them do more for them.
That was the only problem that I still have with like exclusives. I'm just like, if I were to make a video game today, I would probably do it everywhere just to be on the safe side and try to get more people to get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely understand if they have to have an exclusive just because you're working with them, it makes sense. But
Apple. I'm trying to remember how that worked with them. There wasn't an exclusive, but there may have. I'm not positive. There may have been like a time limit, like maybe they wanted it exclusive for the first month or something. I'm not positive if that's the case or not, but I have a vague memory that maybe it was. At least on maybe some of the early games that they wanted it. They wanted the only way to be able to get the game was by buying an iMac. But I don't remember it being the case later on. I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining it. Or maybe I'm just thinking that came up as an option. I don't remember, but yeah, the bundling was, every single consumer Mac from 1996 through 2007 had at least one of our games on it.
Yeah,
starting with
and those were like the weird shaped Macs too. Like they had this like diamond like thing in the back, like it looked like a TV screen, like on.
Yeah, it started with the Performas and the eBooks, iBooks, iMacs, anything that they considered a consumer Mac, which was most of them. Had
that was back when we had the color ones too. The weird.
Well, that was the second or third generation iMac.
I think that's when Automatic came out because I could have sworn we had the games on that.
It was on one of those later models.
And then they came out with the white ones, and I was like, okay, this is a little more streamlined now.
Well, the first iMacs had Nanosaur. The second wave had Bugdom and then Chromag Rally, and they were bundling both those games at one point. They skipped Bugdom 2, which was weird to me that they did. Instead, what they did is they kept Automatic bundled for 2 years. Normally, they would just bundle a game for a year and then they'd go to the next game. But for Automatic, they kept it bundled on there for two years straight, which was weird. Yeah. And I offered them Bugdom 2. I said, why do you not want Bugdom 2? It's the better game for the bundle. And you had Bugdom, and that was clearly a huge hit for you guys. but I don't know why. I don't know why they wanted automatic.
Now, can you? So I was watching a playthrough of Automatic, and he was talking. The guy was talking about how he can't play Bugdom. Are those games more available now, just like Automatic is? Like
Yeah,
they're
so
on
that guy that
exclusives
was doing
now?
all the
Yeah.
ports, what has he done? He's done the original Nanosaur, Chromag Rally, the original Bugdom. I think did he do Bugdom too?
Yeah, because he was
Remember.
the video guy was a little upset about not having both Bugdoms because he really wanted to play them. So,
I
but
can't
he's not
remember.
even on YouTube
Yeah,
anymore.
I
So.
don't know why I can't remember if he did Bugdom 2. I know he did Bugdom 1, but he obviously did Automatic, and I know he hasn't done Nanosaur 2. So I don't know. I'm hoping he does more of them
Yeah.
because it's the only way that I can play the games.
You
Because
might have to get in contact with him for
yeah,
sure,
no.
yeah, because you might
Well,
not
none
do
of
it
them
at
run on
virtual
my Mac
incentive.
Pro
Yeah.
here because they're all 32-bit
Yeah.
games.
No, and I really want to thank you for adding it to Windows 10 because like I would not be able to play it again, and I thank you profusely so much.
Well,
Like I
thank
love this
Ilias
game.
Jorio because
Yeah.
he's the one that did it.
Yeah, no, like it's, wherever he is right now, thank you so much. This is definitely awesome, and I'm so glad I get to talk with a developer from my childhood. Like this, is, like, thank you so much for that. I do appreciate your time, so I hope I'm not taking it up too much or anything
No,
like
not at all.
that. I really appreciate this. Um, trying to figure out if there's like any other like extra questions that I have. It would be cool if we could get the music guy in here. I can't pronounce his name for some reason. Like
Alexander
yeah,
Dimitrij,
it almost sounds Russian. Like I
Dimitrijic.
know it's Norwegian, but it almost sounds
Dimitrijevic.
like Russian for some reason. I don't
Well,
know
yeah, well,
why.
like I say, he's from Kosovo or something, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so he's
So,
not Norwegian, even though he lives in Norway.
but yeah, if
Oh,
we
by
could
the
get
way,
him.
his English is frighteningly perfect.
That's creepy.
I mean,
Like that's,
not only does the
yeah.
guy know, Clint Eastwood movies by, memory, but he speaks absolutely perfect English.
That's probably why he's probably had like years to be able to like hone in on the English skill, the English speaking skill. Like that's I mean that's kind of where like Anglo-Saxon came from and stuff like that, as like those areas in Europe and stuff like that. So that's really cool. I'll bet they get a lot of influence. I know the Japanese get a lot of influence from us just as much as we get a lot of influence from them. So but yeah, no, if definitely if we could get like if we can get the music guy in here sometime, like someday down the road, that would be awesome. Just all
That
three of
would
us
be.
be
I'd
able
love
to
to see
all
what he
three of
has to
us
say.
be able to talk to him, because that would,
Yeah.
I would love to thank him just for the music that he's created in my mind. Like, dude,
Yeah.
this is my childhood. Like, it's like a big part of it. Me, I was like back into like Bionicle and stuff like that and all that. I'm pretty sure you remember those. But no, 2001 is probably despite the big thing that we all know, but 2001 is probably my favorite year of all time. Like I was in kindergarten, but I didn't get to play Automatic until like second grade, and then I played a little more of it in fourth grade. So I had a friend that would just sit there and like be in the first area. She didn't want to like go anywhere else. It was just so she would just run around the first area the whole 2 hours that she was allowed to play. So but yeah, so and you just get the music so ingrained in your brain. It's just like, dude, like this is like instantly memorable. But yeah, no, if we can get him in here sometime, that would be, that would just be a delight for sure.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. It's funny. In front of me here, I have a bunch of. I was cleaning out my closet the other day, and there was a safe in there, and I guess there was a safe that at one point I was putting DVD backups of all the games, and it's
Oh,
weird
that's awesome. Yeah.
to look
Can
back because
you buy
apparently
everything on iTunes? Like I just downloaded everything off of my YouTube, but I don't know. Can you buy this stuff on iTunes at all or anything? Or
I think he may have at one point. I have a vague memory of him doing that.
okay.
But oh wow, the original Cro-Mag Rally box art.
Because he definitely deserves the money support for sure, and I mean you do too. Which is why I wish I could give you some damn money. Like I would just like,
You can
just
buy
take my money.
buy Air Wings or do something.
Yeah,
But,
right.
I wish more people would play Air Wings. You know, that game's been. It
If
came
I
out
had
in
a
20.
phone that could run that, I just have like this thing doesn't even have like 2 gigabytes of RAM on it. So yeah, that's so, I bought a really crappy phone. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, but yeah, Air Wings is 10 years old as of I think in March it turned 10, and it is to date the most popular game we've ever done because people are still playing it. It doesn't have
that
hundreds of
is
people
awesome.
online like it
Yeah.
used to, but still, you go on, there's always somebody there to play
There's
against.
only, yeah, and that's one thing I love about Destiny 1 is like, yeah, even though Destiny 2 is out and it's a, I don't like it as much as Destiny 1. Like, you still have to keep buying content and buying, like, just for $60 for each campaign. And I'm like, dude, I can't keep affording this. Like, so I went back to Destiny 1 and I just found the experience, like, way more enjoyable. And it's just like that. Like, unfortunately, there aren't a whole lot of people to play with anymore, but I've got some friends that I'm going to be able to play with very soon here. So, especially my brother and my roommate. So, so that's going to be nice,
Yeah.
but, but yeah, so. Well, Brian, like I said, if we can get Alexander in here sometime soon,
You can say his last name.
I can't, man. It's so hard to meet.
I just say it in my head. Saying it out
Yeah,
loud is a
see,
whole
well,
different
you know
story.
the guy, so like, of course, he's probably taught you how to pronounce it and everything too. But yeah, no,
I'd like to buy a vowel for $400, please. Yeah.
but
Hi, ding, 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 ding,
I,
ding.
I don't know when he would be able to do that or if he would even be up for it. But it would be awesome if we could at least get
Maybe.
him in here.
And there's Mike Beckett also, the guy in Canada who did the other stuff as well. He may be available as well. But
Yeah, no, that would, honestly, if we could just get all of them in here, it would be
yeah,
great. Yeah, no,
it'd be fun if I could locate the first guy, Gene Coe. I have
yeah.
not heard from him 12, 13 years maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have a rough time locating him. But
Oh,
yeah, all those guys would be interesting to get if they even remember that far back anything.
yeah, right.
But
Honestly, it's hard for me too because I'm like 27 now and I'm starting to lose it. So,
yeah. Well, but anyway, yeah. But thanks for having me on. It's always good to talk about
I
the good
appreciate
old
it.
days and.
No, this video might not get that many views because I'm not a big YouTuber by any means. Like but like it might not even get any views at all. But I'll always keep watching this. Like this was mostly for me, and for me to have this memory. So that's a big reason why I wanted to record it so that I could have it personally, and so and always be able to go back to it. So even if it's just the audio that makes it in, like hopefully everything makes it in. It's just technical difficulties and stuff sometimes. So
Yeah, hopefully the audio is good because since I don't have a mic or headphones, hopefully there's not too much crosstalk.
yeah, I'm hoping something's gonna. Yeah, I'm hoping it's gonna all pop through. So but yeah, guys, this has been the talk with Brian Greenstone. I almost said Brian Reed for some reason. I don't know why. Brian Greenstone, and I want to once again just thank you profusely for coming on here and just being able to talk with me about the game and Pangea Software in general. Like I said, I still wish I could work for you guys, but because that would be awesome. But but yeah, guys, that was the talk, and I hope you all have a good day, and you too, Brian. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep.
Appreciate it. All right. So I will try to, let's see, stop